Our story begins in the early 20th century in New York City, where we meet our protagonist. He is an impoverished Italian immigrant who works as a street sweeper and lives with his mother and siblings in a cramped tenement building. Despite their humble beginnings, is an ambitious young man who dreams of a better life for himself and his family. One day, while sweeping the streets, he comes across a group of men who are involved in illegal activities. They're led by a charismatic and ruthless crime boss named Don Finucci. Although Vito initially wants nothing to do with them, the men force him to join them in one of their schemes, which goes awry, putting Vito's life in danger. This is his baptism by fire into the world of organized crime. And although he wants to leave it behind, he is now in too deep. Now realizing that the only way to survive in this world is to play by its rules, Vito begins to learn the ways of the Mafia. Under the tutelage of Don Finucci, he excels at his new profession, rising through the ranks quickly. But as he climbs higher and higher, he also becomes more disillusioned with the brutality and violence of the Mafia lifestyle. Meanwhile, Vito meets and falls in love with a local girl named Beatrice. She represents the innocence and kindness that Vito still holds on to, even as he becomes a hardened criminal. The two eventually marry and start a family. But their happiness is short-lived. As Vito continues to climb the ladder of the Mafia, he becomes a target of rival families. His enemies set a trap for him, killing his brother and kidnapping his wife. Enraged by their deaths, Vito seeks revenge. In a violent and bloody battle, he takes down all those responsible, cementing his reputation as a ruthless and powerful mobster. From here, Vito would go on to become the most powerful mobster in the city. He establishes his own criminal empire, complete with a network of corrupt officials and business associates. But despite his wealth and power, Vito never forgets the struggles he endured in his early years. As he grows older, he becomes increasingly weary of the violence and bloodshed that his lifestyle has caused. So he decides to make one last big score, a heist on a seemingly impenetrable target. It's a heavily guarded and well-protected vault of a major bank. Vito assembles a team of the best thieves and experts in the city, each of whom have their own unique skills and expertise. Together, they plan and prepare for the heist of the century. They gather intelligence on the bank's security systems and devise a strategy to infiltrate the vault undetected. But as they get closer to pulling off their heist, Vito's old rival, Don Strachey, resurfaces. Don Strachey was thought to be dead, but he's back and seeking revenge against Vito for past transgressions. Tensions rise as Vito and Don Strachey engage in a deadly game of cat and mouse, each trying to outmaneuver the other. Meanwhile, Vito's son, Michael, gets involved with a dangerous group of young criminals. Michael is initially drawn to their rebellious lifestyle, but he soon realizes that they're capable of some truly heinous acts. Concerned for his son's safety and wanting to protect him from the criminal underworld, Vito makes the decision to pull Michael out of school and send him to live with relatives in Italy. However, Michael resents his father for this decision and feels like he's being robbed of his freedom and his chance to make something of himself. As the day of the heist approaches, Vito's team prepares for their final infiltration of the bank. They execute their plan flawlessly, managing to bypass the security systems and infiltrate the vault. Inside, they find more money than they could have ever imagined. But just as they're about to make their escape, they're confronted by the police. A shootout ensues, and several members of Vito's team are killed or captured. Vito, however, manages to escape with a small fortune in hand. He returns home, only to find that his house has been raided by the police. Realizing that his enemies had set him up, he goes on the run, evading the authorities and regrouping with his remaining allies. In the aftermath of the botched heist, Vito reflects on his life and the choices that have brought him to this point. He realizes that the pursuit of power and wealth has corrupted him and those around him. With his criminal career hanging in the balance, Vito must decide whether he will continue down the path of violence and crime or try to seek redemption and a more honest way of life. This origin story arc sets the stage for the rest of the series by establishing Vito Corleone's rise to power in the Mafia. It also introduces many of the key themes that will be explored in the series, such as the corrupting influence of power, the cyclical nature of violence, and the struggle for redemption. The flashbacks were very important because they helped to humanize Vito Corleone, showing how he came to be the man he is in the present day. By showing Vito's humble beginnings and the events that led to his embrace of the Mafia lifestyle, The film established the motivations and complexities of the character. This also added depth to the story, making it more than just a typical gangster film. The flashbacks also served to emphasize the cyclical nature of violence in the mafia world. We see how Vito himself was initiated into the mafia through a traumatic experience, and how he later perpetuates this cycle by initiating his own son, Michael, into the family business. This is a powerful commentary on the way that violence and criminality can be passed down from one generation to the next. Perhaps most importantly, the flashbacks help to make Vito's eventual decision to retire from the mafia more believable. We see how much he has changed and evolved over the course of his life, how he has grown weary of the violence and bloodshed that his lifestyle has caused. This made his decision to seek a more peaceful life in the later stages of the film all the more poignant. Overall, the use of flashbacks in The Godfather Part 2 was masterful. They helped to create a more nuanced and complex story, as well as more sympathetic and realistic characters. By showing Vito Corleone's rise to power in the mafia and the events that shaped his life, the flashbacks provided a deeper understanding of the themes and issues explored in the film. Now let's talk about the acting. Marlon Brando and Al Pacino were both phenomenal in their roles. Brando's portrayal of Vito Corleone was nuanced and complex. He showed us the inner turmoil that Vito was experiencing, as he was torn between his desire for power and wealth and his conscience. Pacino, on the other hand, brought a raw energy to the role of Michael Corleone. He captured Michael's transformation from a war hero to a cold-blooded killer perfectly. The scene where Michael orders the hit on his father's enemies is one of the most intense and powerful scenes in cinema history. Another great performance came from Robert De Niro as young Vito Corleone. He embodied Vito's determination and ambition, as well as his inner conflicts and struggles. Overall, the acting in The Godfather Part 2 was top-notch. It brought these already well-developed characters to life and made us care about their fates. Francis Ford Coppola is widely regarded as one of the greatest directors of all time. He brought his A-game to The Godfather Part 2, directing the film with a masterful touch. The film's opening scene, which depicts Vito Corleone's childhood home in Sicily, is breathtakingly beautiful. It immediately transports us to another time and place and sets the tone for the rest of the film. Coppola also handled the film's more action-packed sequences with skill and precision. The shootout at the toll booth and the bloody battle at the docks are two of the most exciting and suspenseful scenes in cinema history. Coppola's direction also helped to bring out the best in his actors. He created an atmosphere of trust and respect on set, which allowed the cast to give their all to their roles. Overall, Francis Ford Coppola's direction was nothing short of brilliant. He created a cinematic masterpiece that continues to captivate audiences today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more epic movie recaps. Thank you for watching.